back onto the issue of Sharia, if I may, and I want to attempt to take Abdullah to task. He won't mind. He and I have debated a number of times on television elsewhere, so I'll do so. But he has said something tonight, which he does say and others say, about Sharia law, which I don't think is the full story. You'll have heard Abdullah say that Sharia law, they're not really trying to promote Sharia law in this country. Well, some Muslims are, and there's some Anglican archbishops who seem to think it's a good idea, and I can argue that. But I actually want to challenge Abdullah on this thing, that Sharia law is okay for Muslim societies, but we're not trying to push it into the UK. Paul told you earlier that he became a Muslim. It would be mainstream Muslim thought to tell you that he didn't convert to Islam, he reverted to Islam. Now, as far as I know, he'd never been a Muslim before in his life, but they would tell you he reverted to Islam, went back to Islam. Now, the heart of Islam theology is something called fitra, that everything in the whole universe is Islamic. And in fact, actually, everything in England, fundamentally, is Islamic. It's part of the DNA. You and I actually are Islamic. In religious terms, Jesus, if you want to go there, Jesus and Moses and Abraham and Adam were all Muslims. They didn't know it, but that is Islamic theology. If that is the case, and I think it is, Abdullah is not telling you the full story, is he, when he says that he's not interested in England becoming subject to Sharia law? He must, as a Muslim, believe that England must become Islamic if it's going to get back to its natural state. It reverts to Islam. And if that is the case, he must actually be saying one day, perhaps not this year, 2009, one day he as a Muslim will want Britain to be an Islamic state, and therefore all people to be under Sharia law. So I'd like to ask Abdullah if he was telling us the full story, because I don't think he was.
Well, yeah, me and Alan Craig are old debating buddies, and so on, as you can probably guess. Just to go straight to his points. Firstly, I don't think he understands what the word fitra means. It means human nature. We basically believe that Sharia is made for human nature, for human beings. So every human being has the innate propensity to accept the Sharia and agree with it, with the human fundamental tendencies. Every ideology on the face of this planet, or every belief system, what have you, always addresses the first conception of human nature. Before we discuss anything else, you must define what human nature is, and then how do we address it. So in Islam, our concept is fitra. It's simple. He says, why is it that if we believe Sharia is the best system, that we only want to get the Muslim world? Well, that's because the Muslim world is without Sharia, and to rebut Andrew's point before, the Muslim world is ruled over by secular dictatorships. Dictatorships that would probably imprison me, for example, for being an extremist. And they would torture people like myself and even kill people like myself, and all done at the behest of certain governments in the West, like in Washington and number 10 Downing Street, which are and they're calling them friends on the war on terror, allies on the war on terror, despots and dictators who help suppress Islam. Islam's so bad that they're going to validate oppression of it. But I want to respond to a few of Alan Craig's points. He keeps on harping on that Islam is oppressive to women. And I'm going to get to that. But I think Alan Craig, I think he's confused. You see, my colleague, Father Frank, I've read a lot of his literature. His basis is biblical, it's Christian. And of course, my other colleague on the left is liberalism and secularism, obviously, and humanism. But with Alan Craig, it's liberalism and Christianity. And when it suits him, he'll be a Christian. And when it suits him, he'll be a liberal. Let's apply liberalism on his own faith. Let's see what we get. In 1 Timothy 2, it says, verse 11, a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. She must be silent, for Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived, it was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved by childbirth. So that's all right.
I'm giving you a lot of latitude here because you're the only Muslim speaker on this. It is not not on topic, but I'm giving you a little bit of latitude because you're the only one.
Can we debate it?
Sure.
Because this is not the subject of this evening, although it's absolutely entertaining.
Sure, all right. It's about the criteria of judging the issue of Islamification Sharia. How do you judge it? Do you judge it according to the liberal yardstick? Do you judge it according to the Christian yardstick? Do you judge it according to the fascist yardstick and so on? There are different criteria, and I'm arguing that for Alan Craig, it should be consistent. Either he's Christian or he's liberal. And once you've chosen a position, then we can debate further.
Can I come back on that?
Briefly.
I'm saying quite simply that in Britain today, we treat men and women equally before the law. They are equal, of equal worth. That is what we do. It doesn't always work out like that, of course it doesn't. But in law, that is a British ideal. That is all our built-in values in Britain in the 21st century. And therefore, Sharia law is completely inappropriate to that because it does not treat women the same as men. That is what I'm saying. I'm very happy to debate Christianity and the treatment of women within the church, but it didn't seem to me to be the topic for tonight.
Just very briefly.
Okay. Firstly, I don't think it's been substantiated that Islam does treat women unequally. Providing a definition of equality and providing me a definition of human nature, men and women. You know what? I had a debate with the atheist Dan Barker on the same issue, and he said to me that Islam is sexist. And I said because the men and women are given different things. And I said the nature is sexist because why is the man can't reproduce? Why is the man is given more testosterone and the stronger and bigger? Why is this? In nature, maybe we should complain to nature. Maybe it's nature's fault. What Islam says is not that one is better than the other. It just says that both of them have different specializations, and each can cooperate for the better good of human reproduction and society. What's wrong with this?
What it's about.
I'm going to move on. I would, however, like to. We'll come back to that. I want to ask Alan a question of my own. As genuine clarification. You say very clearly that you're in favour of liberty and diversity, and you spoke very eloquently about your experiences in your home borough, and I certainly respect that. But how is that to be reconciled with your advocacy of banning the burqa? Because it seems to me that I don't understand how you can affirm freedom and then deny the right of pious Muslim sisters to dress as they please according to their faith.
Can I just define terms? Let's be clear about this. The only aspect of Islamic dress that I'm objecting to is the face veil. I want to be clear about that because I'm not including the hijab or any other aspect at all. Actually, I find aspects of Islamic dress really quite attractive, personally, of all sorts. So that's not an issue. And the same with African dress and so on. I live in them, as I say, I live in a multicultural and I find that attractive. But, and this is the important thing, the face veil is a statement to people. It's a very passive statement. It's a barrier between, it's a deliberate barrier, and it basically says, I do not want you to be in a relationship with me. I do not want to be in a relationship with you, therefore. That's what it says, and that's why I object to it. Now, how can a society say that it wants to ban something in the name of freedom? Well, freedom isn't absolute. I hate to tell you, but you're not allowed to undress completely in here. None of you are. I expect that if I do, you'd be quite glad that I'm not allowed to choose to be completely free and get undressed. Our society has got rules about that, and it says you're not allowed to sit here completely undressed, completely naked. So we acknowledge that our society has rules and regulations. I'm not actually allowed to drive on the right-hand side. It's basic to a society. So our society can say, wear whatever you clothes you like, but, Alan Craig, you cannot strip off naked in public, okay? And it can say to other people, wear whatever clothes you like, but you cannot wear this deliberately anti-social piece of clothing, the face veil. You can do anything else you like. And that's what I mean by freedom. I would certainly invite questions from sisters who wear niqab or hijab or whatever to make comments on the floor, but not at the moment, sister, because this is a discussion panel. So, Andrew, you wanted to ask? Do you have a question, Andrew?
I was just wondering if Abdullah was going to answer Alan's question about whether he wouldn't prefer at some point if Britain would be under some sort of Sharia law, because he didn't answer it.